All right, go ahead.
All right, take 55. Psoas major. Psoas major, iliacus. They actually come together to make the iliopsoas right there, but you'll be asked the iliacus and the psoas major. This is the sartorius muscle right here. This is the tensor fascia latae running into the IT band or IT tract. IT standing for iliotibial tract or iliotibial band. So tensor fascia latae. I'm going to take off the sartorius and show you the four quadricep muscles. Here's the vastus lateralis, this is the rectus femoris, and this is the vastus medialis. Underneath the rectus femoris, taking off the tensor fascia as well, underneath the rectus femoris is the vastus intermedius. So what we have here is the vastus lateralis, the vastus intermedius, the vastus medialis, and your rectus femoris. Those are your four quadricep muscles. I'll move towards the back. This is the pectineus muscle hooking to your pubic bone right there. That's the pectineus. This is the adductor longus, and that's adductor, A-D-D, ductor, adductor. This is your gracilis, and this is your adductor magnus. The adductor magnus is wider, broader than the adductor longus. All three of these muscles are adductors. Moving to the back of the leg, this is the gluteus maximus. This is the gluteus medius here, gluteus medius, gluteus maximus. To see the gluteus minimus, you're going to have to look on the torso to have this medius cut away. You'll see the minimus underneath it. This is the piriformis muscle. These next three you don't have to know. They have names, of course, but you don't have to know them. Skip down to this muscle right here. It's the quadratus femoris. So that's the quadratus femoris muscle. Then we have these hamstring group muscles here. There's three of them. There's the biceps femoris right here. There's the semitendinosus right here. And underneath the semitendinosus is the semimembranosus. It's broader, so you can see it on both sides. That's semimembranosus and that's semimembranosus. And I could label it either way. So you need to know that this membranosus is underneath the tendinosus and broader. Actually leave those muscles on. Moving down, I have the gastrocnemius right here and the soleus, which is underneath it. And I can actually take off the gastrocnemius and see the soleus that way. But I can actually also see it underneath the calcaneal tendon. Probably one of the tricky muscles on the leg here is this plantaris muscle. And if I take off half the gastrocnemius, I can actually see the tendon of the plantaris muscle right there. So that's the plantaris muscle. Little bitty muscle right between the heads of the gastrocnemius, plantaris. All right, moving to the back of the leg right here, I have the, I'm going to do the front of the leg first, just so you'll hear the words twice. This is the front of the leg, and this is the tibialis anterior. Tibialis anterior. This is the extensor digitorum longus, and right underneath the extensor digitorum longus is this muscle right here, right underneath it. And that's called the extensor hallucis longus. And you can trace the tendon right here, and it goes right to the big toe. So if you would want to trace that tendon of the extensor hallucis longus, you can. I'm going to put the extensor digitorum longus back on. Notice the tendons of the extensor digitorum longus are here, here, and here. I'm going to mention them again in a second, and you'll see why. So tibialis anterior, extensor digitorum longus. These two muscles are fibularis muscles. This is the fibularis longus, and this is the fibularis brevis. They're also called the peroneal group muscle. They can also be called the peroneus longus and peroneus brevis. And together they're called the peroneal group muscles. On the back of the leg, I have the tibialis posterior, similar to the tibialis anterior, except for this is the back of the leg, tibialis posterior. This is the popliteus. And be careful of these two muscles. Here's the big toe right here. And I'm going to tell you that these two muscles flex your digits. Well, you would probably think this was the flexor hallucis, but it's not. This is the flexor hallucis longus right here. That's the flexor hallucis longus. This is the flexor digitorum longus. Now, the reason why it's counterintuitive is because the flexor hallucis longus is actually further from the big toe than the flexor digitorum longus. That's fine because this runs down into a tighter, smaller tendon that only goes to the big toe. And this actually diverges into several tendons that go to the other toes. So flexor digitorum longus, flexor hallucis longus. All right, that's it from back there. Some brevis muscles on the foot itself. This muscle right here running underneath the tendons of the extensor digitorum longus. This muscle right here, this muscle here, same muscle. This is your extensor digitorum brevis. It extends the toes, pulls them back, and it's a short muscle, so it's called brevis, extensor digitorum brevis. This tiny little muscle right here is your extensor hallucis brevis, only extends the big toe. This muscle right here is your flexor hallucis brevis. It inserts down on the bottom of the big toe and pulls it under, curls it under, so it flexes it. And then lastly, this muscle right here curls all the rest of your toes, and this is called the flexor digitorum brevis. Flexor digitorum brevis. Now let me check your list, make sure I didn't miss any. Oh, looks good. That's it.